and then we're going to begin. Welcome to everyone to GPI's Business Tube on Federal Contracting, our Lunch and Learn webinar series as we relate to federal contracting. Today what we're going to cover will be the 8A Business Development Program. The reason I wanted to cover this and go over the certifications program is so that we can all become clear on how we as a small business can use these certifications to leverage our business as we look at contracting opportunities. Last week, I was impressed with Mr. Banks. He was my former supervisor who provided us information on the new rules and regulations of the Women's Owned Small Business Program. So if you weren't able to participate last week, that webinar series has been uploaded in our back office. If you don't have a password or have not taken the readiness test, please go ahead and take the readiness test and you can review last week's webinar. As we proceed forward, I'm hoping to bring on a host of other different panelists that we can continue to provide the real life practical experience as we always do and consist of with GPI. For housekeeping notes, if you have a question or answer, please ask your question in the chat feature or in the Q&A. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and begin as we discuss the SBA's 8A Business Development Program. Again, the federal government is focused on goals. 23% of contracts are set aside for small businesses. And within the 23%, within the 23%, 5% of contracts are set aside for participants in the 8A program. 5% are within that 23%. Again, 5% is set aside for the Women's Owned program, 3% for the Hub Zone, and 3% for the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Program. Last year alone, the federal government again awarded $90.7 billion of contracts to small businesses. Out of that $90.7 billion, $35.4 billion went to the 8A participants. $17.8 billion went to women-owned small businesses, and $6.4 billion went to the Hub Zone program, and $13.8 billion contracts went to service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. In order to participate in government contracting as a small business, you can go to sam.gov, which is the official website for the federal government, where you have to register in order to do business with the government. In that database, you can self-certify in these categories: as a small business, as a woman-owned, as a veteran-owned, and as a service-disabled veteran-owned, as well as a small disadvantaged business. There are only two programs that require a formal certifications at this time. As Mr. Banks discussed last week, they eventually are going to require that the women-owned small business go through a formal certification. But right now, it's still a self-certification process. So if you're a woman-owned business and you haven't self-certified at this stage, I will encourage you to go ahead and self-certify. The small disadvantaged business. Most agencies don't use this set aside because once you are in the 8A Business Development Program, you're automatically qualified as a SDP. So they're not going to necessarily set aside a contract for the small disadvantaged business because they know they can get two birds with one stone through the 8A Business Development Program. The Hub Zone is the program, and we'll cover that probably in the next couple of weeks. It's for underserved communities, businesses that are located in areas that have been designated as underserved. These are the only two programs, again, that requires a formal certification. Formal certification meaning You have to submit an application into SBA, and you have to be approved by SBA. Now, what does it take to be approved into the 8A program? The 8A program is based on two components: that you are socially and economically disadvantaged, and it's a 9-year business development program. The Hub Zone program is based on where your business is located and whether or not 35% of your employees reside in those hub zones. The 8A program is based on two parts: a developmental stage and a transitional stage. When I first participated in the program, there was no stages. But what was occurring in the 80s and the 90s, businesses were getting into the 8A program, and after they graduated from the program, they were failing. So Congress came back and had SBA to institute two different phases to increase the success rate. So what happens in years 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're not asked to compete. You're not asked to do anything. It is a developmental stage. So what I tell businesses, while you're in this particular stage, focus on sole source contracts, meaning because you're a participant in this program, the federal government can award a contract to you up to $4 million without any competition. And I just actually have had 2 firms that have actually won 2 sole source contracts last week for $3.6 million. So the first 3 years in this program, I tell businesses to focus on sole source contracts. That's the whole beauty of this program, is that you don't have to compete. So by the time you get to year 5, and if you've done this well, you will have had enough, you will have won enough sole source contracting opportunities that now allows you to be competitive in year 4 and 5. Because what happens in the program is once you reach year 5, which is your transitional stage, SBA is requesting that 15% of your contracts are outside of the program. And then it increases 10% each year. So by the time you get to year 9, you should have at least 45% of your contracts that are outside of the program. And it makes sense that you have a good balance so that you're not solely depending on those contracts. The purpose of this program, again, is to build your business and make sure that you are competitive after the 9th year. So what is the social disadvantage component of this? In order for you to qualify in this program, if you are a member of any of these ethnic groups, you automatically qualify for the social component of it. The economic component of it, it includes your net worth. They're going to look at your personal net worth and determine if your net worth exceeds or not exceeds this $250,000. But before they look at your net worth, they're going to deduct any equity you have in your primary residence and any equity in your business. Once you're in the program, it's $750,000. So to get in it, your net worth cannot exceed $250,000, and your equity they're going to deduct your equity in your primary residence and your equity in your business. Now, what I've learned since being in this world, and I've been in this world for the last 20 plus years, is that most people outside of that DC area don't have a clue about the types of contracts, about the 8A program actually. Up in the Washington, DC area, and I gave a quick snapshot of the number of firms that are registered in the program as opposed to outside of the Washington DMV area. We have a close to 551 that was in Maryland, 763 that's in Virginia, and you have 116 that's in the District of Columbus. So when you look at the total number of firms that are in the program in that DMV area, it's close to $1,400. 1,400 firms. So for me, it makes sense to come outside of that area, because what's happening, and in particular in Georgia, and I know we may have other states, but any states that have any type of military base is a good place to get certified and look at contracts, because the military base are cities within themselves. So what you'll find is businesses from DC, especially here in Georgia, because Georgia has 5 military bases, and those bases are located here in the state of Georgia, and they have CDC. If you look here at the 8A firms that are certified in the program here in Georgia, there's only 204. So you'll see the firms from DC in that DMV area coming here and marketing to the government agencies, because there's no competition. There's no competition. So it makes sense to me. If I have 5 military bases and there's 1,400 firms in DC, I'm competing against those 1,400 firms for those sole source contracts. So for me, it makes sense that this area is a hot spot too. Are there any questions? Close to 1,430 firms. So what I tell businesses and what I tell people in this game or trying to become 8A, the easiest and quickest way to get into this game is through identifying 8A firms that are graduating. Even some of my current students, even though I've exposed you all to the FBO and the types of contracting opportunities, but to me, the database that I have taught you on, which is the Federal Procurement Data System, is the key to this game. Because if you go to that database, you can identify sole source contracts that are expiring every year that the rest of the world will never ever see. So I know a lot of you get caught up and look at the FBO and I can go after this opportunity. Yes, it's good to see the opportunities, but to me, I want your focus to be back over on where those 8A firms that are graduating that have those sole source contracts. Because to me, again, that's the best strategy in getting into this game, because now they can start subcontracting work to you. So when they graduate, you already have the experience. Hopefully they would have introduced you to their clients and they have the infrastructure. It just makes perfect sense to me. Any questions? The other component, and again, I can't really go into a whole lot of details in this short period of time because it's a whole laundry list. I just wanted to highlight some of the areas that I know is important. This program allows anyone who has had a record to participate. You cannot be on parole or probation, because part of the requirement, it insists that you work full time or you dedicate full time to your business. But as long as you're not on parole or probation, you can start a business and qualify into this program. So I have seen people in my experience in qualifying into this program. The best thing about this program, and I'm going to go to the website, is the Mentor-Protege Program. This is the only program right now, the women's program is getting ready to switch up, that allows you to go to a large business and that business can mentor you. This is also the quickest way to begin to position yourself to get into the 8A. I don't encourage people to get into the 8A until they're ready, meaning they have gone through the process, they have learned the game, they have built relationships, because that's what running a business is in the end. It's about relationships. I don't encourage them to get into the program until they've done those things, because otherwise you're wasting time. Once you are in the once you're qualified in the program, you only have a one-time shot to do it. After that, you can no longer qualify. Although I was in the program, I closed my business. If I wanted to start another business, or for instance, try to put GPI in the program, it doesn't work. The program is based on you as an individual and the business. You cannot transfer a business to another 8A. So you only have one time to be in the program as an individual and or a business. So the beauty of this program, which I love, is the Mentor-Protege Program, part of it. Being in this program, the Mentor-Protege Program, it allows a large business to come in and mentor you. So as you are prepping yourself for the 8A program, I would encourage you to start potentially looking at a mentor. The ones that I've seen while working at SBA that have been quite successful in the program, you're coming in as soon as you're admitted into the program with a mentor, because part of that mentor-protege program, that mentor can provide technical and management assistance, contracting, and financial assistance in the form of equity and/or loan. This is the only program that allows a large business to come in and mentor a small business. Otherwise, they would not be able to come in. I mean, otherwise, you would be qualified as a large business if you got in any type of other relationship outside of this program. So many people ask, well, why would a large business want to mentor me? I'm just a one-person, two-person business. To me, a business is a business. Money is money. The reason a mentor would potentially want to mentor you, because again, you're having access to dollars that they can't have access. As you can see on the pie chart, that was how many dollars that was set aside for the 8A program that was actually awarded in contract, $35.4 billion. So yes, that's why a mentor would potentially want to mentor you, especially if you're able to come to them with potential opportunities. And that's what we teach at GPI. We teach you a strategy so that you know when you're going in and talking to a buyer or a mentor, you know the right language and know how or try to get an end result for that conversation or that relationship. So if you look at the qualifications of that mentor or the eligibility requirements for their protege, these are the things that are listed. And again, you can go on SBA's website and you can see the types of requirements and benefits and eligibility of the program. When you look here, this is what they're asking for a mentor. And the reason I encourage this is because what typically happens, and what I've seen consistently over the last 6 years, is that 8A participants get into the program because someone told them to go get certified. But they don't understand the game. So generally it takes 5 or 6 years before that 8A firm receives that contract. My whole purpose is to eliminate that learning gauge so that by the time you get into the 8A program, you already know the game and can take full advantage of those 9 years. And believe me, those 9 years go by very quickly. So, does anyone have any questions? If you have any questions, please type it in on the chat bar. Oh, what I'm going to conclude with will be the types of services, and again, that will be offered through GPI's bootcamp. If you are business ready, in this particular bootcamp session, we're talking about or targeting people who are interested in starting a business. This particular session will guide you to getting a business name, registering your business, and registering your business with the state and with the government so that you are prepared to do business with the federal government. The Government Ready class is targeted to businesses who are currently in business and they're looking to expand their business to government contracts. By the time that you complete this class, we will have expanded your business model and certified you officially as a federal government contractor. We will help you develop a capability statement, your marketing materials. These are the items that are required when you're marketing to the federal government. For the more advanced class, which is the Contract Ready, this is geared toward businesses who are currently certified and don't have a strategic plan on leveraging your certifications. This class will provide you, again, with a detailed strategic marketing plan on how to market your services to the federal government. I have one question, and I'll answer that. The question comes from Renee. Do you have to be in the business development program to take advantage of the Mentor-Protege Program? And is there an income limit to a mentee? You do, in order to take advantage of this particular program, you do have to be in the 8A program. However, there are other programs that are offered through other agencies, such as the Department of Defense, the Department of Health and Human Services. They also have their own Mentor-Protege program, but this program is the only one that allows that large business to become a small business. And you have to be careful when you're looking at the other government agencies that are offering these Mentor-Protege programs, because you want to make sure that they're not in conflict with SBA's regulations. So what that really means is if it's in conflict, you've already gotten in a relationship in a Mentor-Protege program with another mentor in another agency, and now you're qualified into the 8A program and you're coming to SBA and you now want to use that same mentor in that program. Well, SBA is going to look at what they would call affiliation. And they're looking in the affiliation rule to determine who's really controlling that entity. So you have to really be careful on the relationships that you establish with these mentors. The other question was, is there an income limit to a mentee? No, there's no income level to a mentee or a protege. For a mentor, I encouraged one of my 8A firms to go out and find you $1 billion mentor. Because if you have $1 billion mentor, there's no way that you can lose. I hope I answered your question, Ms. Renee. Naya asked, how long does the Government Ready boot class last? The boot camp class is an 8-week session. We do it weekly. And if you go online, you can see the cost for the class. We are getting ready to launch an early bird registration, as well as some more incentives, a referral program. Okay? Are there any other questions? If not, I encourage you, if you haven't already, to go to and take the readiness test and to determine your next steps on how you're planning on learning how to obtain federal contracts and winning. You can go to www.gpiwin.com. Thank you, and I hope to see you next week, unless I have any more questions. Okay, thank you.